Welcome back to The Wealth Shift by Bergs, the go-to playbook for busy investors building real wealth in the digital era. I'm Ben Simpson, high school dropout turned 8-figure entrepreneur, investor, and founder of Collective Shift, a global crypto research platform with clients around the world. And Aaron Berghuber, an MBA qualified, financially free investor and business leader. The show dives deep into strategies shaping the next generation of wealth builders. Together, we unpack the exact frameworks used by sophisticated investors to grow and protect wealth across crypto, business, property, and macro markets with no fluff, hype, or jargon. Whether you're managing a $100,000 portfolio or $5 million plus, the Wealth Shift delivers timeless strategies, investor psychology, and actual insights for those serious about playing the long game. This is your playbook for building wealth in the digital era. Every single week, we release new episodes breaking down exactly what's going on. Make sure you hit subscribe to get the episodes as they come out if you're on the podcasting app or if you're on YouTube. And today we're talking about the millions of dollars we've lost in crypto, what it taught us, and how you can take these lessons and experiences and implement on your own, because crypto is volatile. We're going through a volatile period right now. Bull markets always like this. Fear is high. Greed is high at pendulum swings. And you tend to make the worst mistakes on the way down. All right. When the market's volatile, we've seen a number of corrections this year already in crypto. Back in April, altcoins were down 65, 70%. Solana wicked to $90. Bitcoin was at $75,000. We saw huge corrections across the board. We saw the biggest liquidation in 24-hour history for crypto, a few weeks ago in October. More than 3 or 4 times the FTX liquidation, crazy amounts of volatility. And Bergs and I have been investing in crypto for a long time now, 2017 for both of us. And man, we've made some bad decisions and
oh, mate, isn't it just wild where when the number's going up, you're like, I'm investing. This is what I expect it to do. But the second it starts retracing and you look at that little number and your wealth is going down, and bro, the classic 30% drawdown in a bull market, just, straight in the heart, bro. Like the emotions just start flaring up. You're like, I'm losing money. This isn't the way it's supposed to go. It's up only. Like I put my money into this thing. This is crazy. And this is where we have made our worst mistakes, mate. Yeah. I'm going to kick us off and let's start right at the beginning. 2017, biggest mistake was thinking I was very smart, chasing the current trend of the time and investing shed loads of money into ICOs. And at the time, it probably wasn't shed loads of money. It might have been altogether over that ICO period, 20 grand, 30 grand, something like that, right? But every time I would enter an ICO, I would buy new ETH at $80. Some of it was $50 ETH. And I would buy that ICO and it would go up maybe 10x. And of course, I wouldn't sell because everything's going to the moon. Why not wait for the 100x that everyone else has? And all of them went to zero. And I had to write them all off. And yes, it was only 20 to 30K. But if I would have just listened to myself, backed myself, and kept that ETH, that's probably like a $3 million mistake.
Yeah. Man, the chasing the hot thing on the block, ICOs, NFTs, metaverse, whatever it is, like looking back at what you would have had if you just held, and this is a lot of people, they trade and try and do different things to get more returns faster. You look back and you go, wow, what would I have done if I just held and not panicked and not done these crazy things? I was the same. So much money just barreled into ICOs, and what ICO is around to date? I don't know.
That's exactly it. It's like the 1 or 2% that is still around. And you had this as well, mate. You had a very, very big trade on. Not a big trade. You bought something and then you got rid of it because it was doing nothing, mate.
Yeah, Synthetics. It was called Haven before, renamed to Synthetics. So Synthetics was a huge altcoin that had a massive run in the 2021 altcoin season. I got into this around 2018, 2019 from memory. It was called Haven. Held onto it for a long time. Had conviction, but it didn't do anything. And I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't focused. I had too many altcoins, and I sold it. And I was sold all of it, 100% of it. And I remember looking back a few months later after I realized that, it renamed to Synthetics. It had new token economics. It had a huge launch, and this thing did tens 20, 30x returns.
I think it was a lot more than that. I think in a previous pod, I think it was like close to a $9 million mistake. It was a ridiculous amount of money. And the lesson here is exactly the same, where you've looked at a company. I'm pretty sure that the interviews with that company, talking to those people, you knew it was legit, but then getting that kind of, it lost a bit of momentum, and there's other shiny things, and trying to chase those instead of staying with the project that you've researched and you know well about, even though the price isn't reflecting how good you know it is. Just having that conviction and sticking to your plan.
Yes, and that's probably the biggest takeaway for you guys listening at home is having a plan and sticking to it when we're in periods of uncertainty and you're worried and you're concerned, and maybe your altcoins aren't doing as what you would have hoped. Having a strategy and having patience and remaining in the market without throwing the towel in is important. Conviction on assets, but without a structure or a plan, is just chaos, and it's going to lead to poor decisions. You need to learn to wait, have the confirmation, and understand what your altcoins are doing. This is another lesson as well. Is like, if you have so many different altcoins and you have no idea what any of them are doing at any period of time, well, then you have no ability to make a good decision because you have no idea what the altcoins are doing. And this is about having a simple strategy, not trading out too early and not being impatient, and being able to weather the storm. Super important.
Absolutely, man. Let's continue with 2017, mate. So
what a time.
Mine was, oh man, it's so brutal to admit these. Hey, it's just oh geez. So this was in 2017, and I had a trade on, thinking I'm a very smart trader. I made one or two trades, made a little bit of money. Like, there was a flash crash, I remember, with IOTA, went down to 50 cents, and within a couple of minutes went back up to like $1.50, made like 8K US. I'm like, oh, I'm the best, let's go. So I had a trade on, and I was following a trader, and this was a BTC ETH paired trade.
Yep.
And I had 0.6 Bitcoin on the trade. All right, imagine how much that is worth today, right?
Yeah.
Like 60K USD plus. At the time, it was like maybe worth $3,000. And I've got this trade on, and they're like, no, just keep adding to the trade. Like, a few days goes by, a week goes by, and they're like, no, like, it's coming close, but this pressure will happen. So I added more up to 0.6 BTC. And I ended up going on a holiday with my mates because I had a trip to Japan booked. So of course, here I am sitting in this hotel room, stressing out about this fucking trade while I should be enjoying myself, adding more money into it, setting my time zone. My phone is not working for my little two-factor authentication to get into the exchange and all this sort of crap. And at the end of the day, I just cut the trade and went, fuck it. It's not worth my time in Japan. But that cost me 0.6 BTC. And if you zoom out from now, like in 5 years' time, even from now, most people in the world won't be able to afford 0.6 BTC. But by following that trader, believing the bullshit, thinking I was a trader, I've now lost, in today's terms, 60,000 US dollars plus just from that one thing. And that's the only trade I can remember. What about all the other bloody trades I can't remember?
And also as a trader as well, or trying to become a trader, how many clients do we speak to that join us going, oh shit, I tried trading, man. That's just like trading.
They tell you it's so easy. You sit in front of a screen for 7 minutes a day. It's bullshit. I was constantly looking at that. I remember I had another trade on, and it was actually the anniversary with my wife. And we were out, and we went to the place we got married at, and then we're going to a hotel. And my phone literally bricked while I was there. And I had a significant trade on. And I was like, oh shit. And for the next probably 4 or 5 hours, it just ruined our anniversary. And to the end where I was just like, fuck it, whatever happens, happens. I was lucky I could get into that mindset. Yeah. But just doing those things and trying to live a normal life and be a trader, they don't go together. You need to turn your emotions off. You need to be in front of the screen. You need to be very active. You cannot do it in 7 minutes a day.
Just think about that at home, listeners. Do you think that these core sellers of trading can literally make you money when you spend 10 minutes a day that they sell sitting by the pool? You are coming up against quant funds, AI algorithms, huge institutional platforms, and you think you can sit by the pool drinking a cocktail to beat them. No fucking chance. Absolutely not. Doesn't exist.
And this thing that we're talking about with trading, ICOs, even NFTs, I didn't cut my losses. I probably lost 30K in NFTs.
Yeah.
I was in Discords. We're all going to make it. That was just, this whole thing is a distraction.
Yeah.
Right? Getting distracted is the main point here. Thinking you can move faster, you can make more money, you're smarter than the other people on the other side of the screen.
Yeah.
You're not, unless you've dedicated years of your life to it and you've got some serious competitive advantage.
Yeah. What is your edge?
Yeah.
And I think to that point, another big mistake that I made early on in my, journey back in 2018, 2019 is that I, was following a guy on YouTube that seemingly knew what he was doing. He put out a lot of TA content. He had this sort of like proprietary algorithm that he created. And, I bought into that and, thought that he knew exactly what he was doing. And, I outsourced my decision-making to him solely. And I had no idea, of how wrong he was going to be. And, he had this prediction that Bitcoin was going down 60, 70%, the theory that he had. And I sold out a huge chunk of my Bitcoin at like $20,000 because I was scared it was going to go down. And, long story short, didn't go anywhere near where he said, and Bitcoin ripped and I was sidelined there for a little while. And that was a big learning lesson for me, is like, getting into these fear mongering, based, content, loopholes where you just end up like spiraling and listening to people and you get scared and worried and you sell out is the absolute worst thing to do. And that is kind of what we see every single bull run. And for all you guys listening at home probably know this, when your portfolio goes down, you see these corrections, you get fearful, you get panicked, usually at the time where you want to sell and, reduce your risk is usually when it's peak fear, when it's peak, bloodbath in terms of the market. That is usually the time that everyone capitulates and a bottom's formed. So remember that when you're feeling something and everyone else is feeling the same thing, it's usually close to a pivot point. And, for me, that was a huge mistake that I made early on. And also just listening to influencers on YouTube that are like, realizing that their incentives are not in line with you. Yep. They just want to get your views.
You raise a great point about YouTubers and influencers, where investing is deeply personal. Your goals are personal. The way you like to live your life, how much time you want to spend with it, your time horizons, how much money you have already. All of those need to be factored in. But these YouTubers, they specialize in hooking you in and selling you something, or using their trading link, or they get paid some way. And the equivalent of this is like a YouTuber going, "Oh, I'll get you a house." And that's like, well, great, but you don't know me. Where's the house going to be? Is it going to be a tiny house? Is it a mansion? You don't know if I've got a family. You don't know my requirements. You don't know all this stuff. Do I need one next month? Do I need one in 5 years' time? Do I need one in 5 months? What are all of these things that go into your makeup? And then that informs the type of investor you are and how you like to actually run things. It's just, I've got 100K. What do I put it in? It's like, well, what are your goals? Like, what do you want to achieve? What's your time horizon? What's your risk tolerance? How often do you want to be in front of the screen? How often do you want to monitor these things? And I got sucked into the exact same thing, where I think investing is all the same. These guys have made money. They know what they're doing. Ben, you've been over to the States recently. You've seen how the sauce is made with these people, how they hire all the Lamborghinis, everything else, to try and convince you that they know what they're doing and they are going to make you money. And this is the well-known trodden path.
Yeah, it is. People sell the dream and the lifestyle, not the information and the knowledge. You guys don't listen to us because we're good looking. You listen to us because we're good at what we do and we have the information and knowledge. And yes, I may not get the views or the downloads, but that's the insight, right? That's the quality of the content or the quality of the insights versus someone that's primarily focused on buying Lamborghinis and Richard Mille watches to sell you that dream. It's usually the wrong way around.
And this is what got in my head in 2017 and 2022. So 2017, I didn't buy enough Bitcoin. Fair enough. First cycle, got distracted by ICOs. 2022, I should have known better. At the end of the year, I was actually working for Collective Shift at this point, spent hundreds of hours understanding Bitcoin, and I'm pretty sure Bitcoin dropped below 30K. On one day, I think it dropped 5 or 6K. You and I were meeting up for breakfast. We're like, oh, mate, it's dropped. I got to buy some. Never bought it. Got distracted, thought about other crap. Oh, don't worry, I've got these other investments. Listen to YouTubers still. And if I would have just bought some Bitcoin, I would have more than tripled my money already within 3 years.
Yeah.
The simplest thing, just click buy, go to sleep, wake up 3 years later. I've tripled my money. And just getting distracted by the noise and not listening to myself with the hundreds of hours of research I've done, being able to explain it to other people and having that conviction to just press buy and go to sleep, hugest mistake. That alone would have cost me upwards of 500K, I reckon.
Yeah. Yeah, because you overthink it and it becomes complex. And I had a similar position when my first bull market. I had all these altcoins. I had all this stuff going on. I had complex strategies. I had to do all these things. And I made a lot of money on paper, but then round trip the entire thing because I had too much going on.
This is it. So people think that the more you put in with investing, the better investor you're going to be. Actually, the opposite is true.
Yeah.
It's knowing your preferences and sticking to a plan, adopting that plan and executing against it.
Yeah.
That is what will bring you success. Yeah. And I think back to similes like cybersecurity. It's not like you learning everything about cybersecurity. No, you adopt a framework and you go and implement that framework. Yeah. You come in with where you're at, what you want, how you want to run things, and you pick up a framework, you make a plan, and you go and execute against that. Yeah. That is the way. You don't spend every single day on YouTube, what happened this week, or interest rates, this, that, whatever. Yeah, fair enough. There's a couple of inputs you need to know about, but not every day, because that's just going to influence your information diet, the way that you think. People are going to get in your head, other people speaking in your head instead of what you know inside, the plan that you've made and executing against that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the what we see on our client side, the clients that we work with, primarily the best results always come from people that aren't spending time in crypto. 50 to 70-year-old women in our group probably outperform most people because they have a simple strategy. They're not driven by ego and they don't really know a lot about crypto. And they're making a lot of money because they have a very simple strategy. And that's ultimately where we can all take lessons from that. And what we work with, and what I see on the client side is simple wins.
Yeah. And it's amazing. Like you see people come in and they're very fired up. We work with them. We kind of help them out. And it takes a while for their psychology to kind of catch up. And you see that kind of months later and they're like, tried all this stuff, had a plan, didn't work, adopted the plan, and now I've just got these gains. And it's like when people are new to the group and they're still, somewhat losing their minds because, it takes a while to, adopt this kind of psychology and framework. And other people that have been in there for a little bit, they're just like, it doesn't even faze me. I'm going fishing and I'm executing against my plan and here are my gains and I'm living a great life. Yeah.
I literally had a guy that signed up recently. He's been in Bitcoin since 2013. He joined a couple of days ago, had my welcome call with him. And I'm like, how are you finding, the corrections and the dips and, the fear that's going around? It's like, I don't even look anymore. Been doing this long enough to know I don't care. Right. Versus someone brand new to crypto that's been in it maybe for 3 or 4 months that came in and bought the local top because that's where most people do. It's fear, it's worry, it's concern, it's all these sorts of things. Emotion takes over.
That's a good point. We're here for the volatility, and volatility goes both ways. And when you start buying crypto, just know that's your start date. You're going to experience a lot of volatility. The number one thing that's probably going to happen is you're going to buy and you're going to experience a correction. It might go up 10% and then down 30. And you're like, whoa, this is not the thing. But if you stay the course over time, you're going to get those swings both ways.
Right.
They're going to be much easier and easier. It's like going skydiving the first time. By the 100th time, you're like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
But you understand how this works. You're prepared for it and you're taking advantage of it.
Yeah, correct. I've got a quote for you, Bergs. Shakeouts don't destroy wealth. They transfer it from the reactive to the resilient.
Oh, that is one of my favorite quotes. And I think the simplified version is wealth transfers from the hands of the impatient to the patient.
Yeah. That was another one. That was another version of it. True wealth isn't lost. It is transferred from the impatient to the patient.
And that's it. Like if you literally took all the money in the world and you divide it up equally among everyone within whatever period of time, 10 years, 20, 50, 100, it will be back in the hands of the wealthy.
Yeah.
Because it's their psychology and they know what to do with it rather than having this kind of new thing and having to learn those lessons and all of these painful mistakes that cost you a lot of money.
Correct. And that is another lesson is just short-term thinking versus long-term thinking. That's a big one. Not getting angry, frustrated, it doesn't help. Checking your portfolio every 10 minutes, getting emotional, having notifications on, all these sorts of things does not help. If anything, it just aggravates you. And I know it personally, like shit, when we have a big market dip and you're loaded up, you get that little, that little twang of anxiety. It's like, oh, is this time different? If you're doing that consistently, it's not helpful. It's not going to help you in your life. Your partner's not going to like it. You're going to feel like shit. To play the game of crypto, you've got to be emotionally, what's the word? Probably emotionally ready for what crypto brings. And it's not just up only forever. In fact, it's the opposite.
You need to be robust, resilient, durable.
Yes.
And mate, I'm going to call you out on one. Not having a sell strategy with a certain NFT, mate.
Mate, just not having a sell strategy in general, but my worst round trip. Well, I round trip my first cycle, lost hundreds of thousands, but on a single investment, Moonbirds, for those who were around in 2021, got in on the Moonbirds pre-sale NFT, got in at like $6,000 or $10,000, literally ran to $150,000 in about 3 days. I remember I was in New York at the time and did literally the same shit that everyone does, looking at it, showing my friends, look how much money I made. Oh, it's going to go to 500K. It's going to go to 700K. All this just ridiculousness that happens when you make a lot of money really quickly. The euphoria takes over and I round trip the entire thing. Now it's probably worth about $1.50. I sold it, I don't know how long, ages ago. But it's just another lesson, Bergs, is to don't get caught up in the mania. The mania is not helpful.
And if you start to experience that mania, that's a good signal. I was livid at this one. So, mate, I was down south with the family. It was 2022. I just joined Collective Shift. I'm pretty sure it was around April time. And I just set up my new structures. So I had to write a loan agreement, transfer to my trust, get on the pre-sale, sign all this stuff, all this fucking nonsense. And in and out of cell reception because I'm on a farm in the middle of nowhere. Internet's not really working. And then this is the one time I had a sell strategy where I said, great, I'm putting in 10K. If it gets to 150K, I will sell instantly. Emotionless, wrote it down, everything. And I actually would have done it. Didn't get in the pre-sale. And I was furious because I had no attachments to Moonbirds, didn't give a shit about the creator or what it looked like or anything. I was in it for the money. And this is one I would have executed against with a sell strategy and it would have been epic. But no, you and Matt got it. We're all going to make it. And you both wrote it to zero. And I'm still filthy about it, mate. I could use that 150K, bro.
Oh, dear. Yeah. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. It's very easy to look back and go, this was what I should have done. This is what I could have done. But in the moment, it's difficult. That's a lesson learned. Like you've got to be able to act and make decisions and logical decisions. And I think that's probably my final lesson that I just want to leave everyone on is twice I've nearly gotten scammed online. And it was both because I was rushing, I was in a hurry, and I was not
emotional.
I was not thinking straight. The best one that nearly got me was a full-blown Coinbase-esque,
phishing email or something?
It was a WhatsApp message that I received from a Coinbase employee that knew everything about me, that then wanted me to get access to, or was offering me, because they heard who I was and like I was a sophisticated investor. They wanted to see if I was interested in a private sale that Coinbase were doing on a new investment, and they were going to introduce me to their head of investments if I was interested. So then they did an introduction.
You told me about this one, didn't you?
Yep. So then they did they were crazy. And then they did an introduction.
Yeah, you were like, this is like Brian Armstrong's like right hand or something like that. I'm like,
next door neighbor's fucking cat's brother, is interested. And they did an introduction to me on WhatsApp to some other person from Coinbase, and all the names and all the numbers were legitimate. And these people were actual people you could verify online. Or obviously it wasn't them. And then it got to a point, I can't remember the exact way they were trying to get the investment, but I think it was like, just the sort of the basic stuff. But long story short, I was in a hurry. I was in a rush. I wasn't thinking. I wasn't logical. I was emotional, and I was just, in a hurry. It was in the peak of a bull market, so money was flying everywhere. And, you felt like if you didn't do something, you're going to miss out. Luckily I, at the final hour, actually switched on to what was actually happening. But it was very sophisticated, and it just goes to show again, any time that you're rushing things and not being logical, you're most likely going to make a poor decision.
Scams happen when you're weakest. So think about this. Let me just set the scenario here, Ben. You've got maybe a trade on, or you're heavy in alts, or you put a bit more money in, more than you should have. you're not sleeping well, you're seeing the number go down, you're stressed, you got anxiety loops going in your head, your eyes are fucking burning, you're on your 15th coffee, you're trying to make it right, you can't explain to the missus how much money you've lost. And think about that emotional state. And when you're trying to act quickly, and your cognitive ability is just like, you're about 6 or 7 beers down. You're not the greatest. You're rocking at like 0.08. And honestly, that is where the mistakes happen. And you'll click the wrong thing. You send it to the wrong address. You won't do your normal checks because you want to act fast and you want to correct the mistakes you think you've made. And that is where you get got.
100%. Every single time. Every single time. So lesson there, folks, listening at home. If you are rushing into something, you feel you've got FOMO, you need to do something quickly before, time's running out, stop, pause, take a breath, put the phone down, go for a walk. That's anything in life.
You never need to do anything quickly in crypto. There was one thing maybe you needed to do quickly, and that was FTX, where we alerted everyone like, hey, this is a bit shit. And we told everyone like, hey, like move your stuff now. But apart from that, like in the last 7-8 years, there hasn't been anything like that. And mate, I've got one more, and we talked about hindsight. Let's talk about foresight. So this cost me a lot of money as well. Having poor structures, and this is tax and legal structures. So I haven't necessarily needed the legal side yet, but I've set it up anyway. But having bad tax structures, so having everything in your personal name. If you're a high income earner, you're going to pay a lot of tax. In Australia, it's 47%. And if you haven't held things for more than 12 months, you don't get the 50% discount on that. That's huge. So think about your structuring, and also think about not just tax minimization, but also asset protection. So these are things like companies or trusts where they have lower tax rates, and you also have that asset protection. Setting that up now and investing in through those vehicles will save you so much money, hassle, and time in the future. It's easier to transfer wealth as well. There's things like, when wills and everything come into play, if you've got that all set up, you don't have to go through probate, those kind of things. It's just an amazing thing to set up that no one thinks about until it's too late. And I know so many people that are like, I've made a few $1 million in crypto. Great. I'll just put it in a trust and I'll pay less tax. Like, well, buddy, it doesn't work like that. You should have done that at the start. So those are the things you want to watch out for. Have a chat to your accountant. It's not expensive at all. Everyone's like, oh, it costs millions of dollars. It's not. To get this set up, it is so cheap. And then a few $100 each year to do a tax return, and you will save thousands, if not hundreds of thousands per year.
Love it. That's our lessons, folks, at home. Maybe you've been through some of these already. Maybe we can save you from not falling the same traps wherever you are in your journey. Hopefully you can learn some from our war stories there. If you want to see exactly how sophisticated investors are growing their crypto portfolios without all this time wasting on charts and influencers and guesswork, check out the link in the description below. We've got a free training that we put together. It's a proven seven-step system that we use at Collective Shift with all of our clients across the world. Whether you're an executive, business owner, serious investor, no matter where you are, it can help. And, also understand how we work with our clients if you are interested in jumping on board. That is in the link below. Otherwise, we release episodes each and every week. We'd love for you to subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on your podcasting app, leave us a follow. It's how we grow the podcast each and every week. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, champions.